right now in our Indiana.
We give you an inside look at the Big Ten Wrestling Championships hosted at Assembly Hall.
And we sit down with IU Baseball's Austin Cangelosi and hear what he has to say about the season.
Welcome to this week's episode of Our Indiana. I'm Joe DiBenedetto.
And I'm Brad Davis. We begin tonight's episode on the hardwood as the IU men's basketball team finished up their regular season this week. Indiana traveled to Mackey Arena for the second matchup of the year against Purdue. James Blackman Jr. led the way for Indiana with a team-high 16 points and 5 assists, but foul trouble plagued Indiana as they fell 86-75. Then Indiana traveled to Columbus for a contest against the Buckeyes this past Saturday. Indiana left Value City Arena with their 7th conference win by the score of 96-92. The Hoosiers had one of their best shooting performances of the year, shooting 52% from 3 and 58% from the floor. Indiana had 5 players scoring double figures, with Robert Johnson posting a team-high 26 points.
It was a long weekend for the Hoosiers men's tennis team, having 2 matches this past week. The number 37 men's tennis team lost to the 18th-ranked Cornell Big Red 4-0 on Friday. Following the tough loss, Indiana rallied back to defeat the Purdue Boilermakers 4-3. The Boilermakers raced to a 2-0 match start, but the Hoosiers never wavered. The Hoosiers stormed back to a 3-2 match lead when sophomore Zach Brodney came away with a 6-4, 2-6, 6-2 win to give Indiana the win. The Hoosiers will have the time off before they travel to San Diego for a match against Texas Tech on Thursday, March 16th.
The IU women's basketball team traveled to Indianapolis for the Big Ten tournament in hopes of adding to their postseason resume. The 4-seeded Hoosiers faced off against Purdue in the quarterfinals of the tournament, the second matchup between the two teams after IU beat the Boilers by 14 back in January. Indiana concluded the first half with a 15-point lead, but a second-half Purdue comeback resulted in an exit for the Hoosiers, 66-60. Amanda Cahill and Alexis Gassian both finished with double-doubles, and junior Tyra Buss led the way in the point column with 16.
Before we recap the Big Ten Wrestling Championship, here's a quick interview I had with head coach Dwayne Goldman before the tournament. So this weekend is the Big Ten Championship this weekend here in Bloomington. How do you feel that what's the excitement around it? How do you feel that it's going to be in Bloomington? Are you guys excited for it?
Yeah, with Assembly Hall renovated and all the teams coming in, it looks tremendous. The entire IU crew that helped put it together, from the administrators down to just all the workers that have done so much. They've really made it a great appearing venue, and I'm sure the wrestling will follow suit.
And how do you feel about how do you think the players feel this weekend? How do you think they are coming to the tournament? Are they excited?
I think they're excited and they're healthy. It's an incredible challenge, an incredible tournament. I encourage anybody, whether they've seen wrestling or not, to come see it. It'll be a spectacle like they've never seen before. That's some of the best wrestlers, obviously in the nation, but also the world. You're going to see some really great competition, and I think our guys are ready to go out there and wrestle hard and hopefully get to the NCAA championships.
So, leading up to the last practice this week, what was your final message to the players, and what did you tell them, going to the tournament? How should they prepare? What was your final message to them?
Really, it was just prepare as if you're on the road. Sometimes when you're at home, it can be a little too comfortable. So in that regard, we're staying at a hotel. We're not letting them stay at home. We're not doing any of that. Because that's not really what they're used to. We want to keep things as normal as possible because they can't overlook the excitement of wrestling at home and being in an assembly hall and things like that. But sometimes that whole concept can kind of prepare you in a different way, and we don't really want them to. We want them to stick to what they know and prepare the way they always do.
Great. Coach, good luck.
Thank you.
As you heard in that interview, this year Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall played host to the Big Ten Wrestling Tournament for the first time in over a decade. 4 Hoosiers secured berths at the 2017 NCAA Wrestling National Championships in St. Louis later this month. Elijah Oliver and Nate Jackson led the way for Indiana, both reaching the tournament semifinals for the first time in their careers. While both Hoosiers lost in their matches, Their performances still earned them spots in St. Louis. Redshirt freshman Devin Scotza qualified for next month's tournament following a victory in the Wrestlebacks, while sophomore Jake Danishek was able to punch his ticket after winning a vital decision yesterday. The 2017 NCAA Wrestling National Championships begin March 16th.
It was a long weekend for the men's baseball team as they traveled to Birmingham, Alabama for a 3-game series with Samford. 11 hits and a 5-run first inning helped guide the Hoosiers to a 10-5 win over the Bulldogs on Friday. Senior Craig Didolo came a double away from hitting a cycle, picking up his 4th home run of the season. Saturday and Sunday did not go in favor of the Hoosiers as they dropped both games. The Hoosiers fell Saturday 5-3 by a walk-off 3-run home run, while on Sunday they lost 5-3 again in a game that saw over 20 hits by both teams combined. The team has a quick turnaround with a Tuesday contest at Evansville at 7 p.m.
And finally, the IU softball team went west for the Judy Garman Classic in California last week. The Hoosiers came into the tournament riding high after posting a 4-1 record in the Sanford UAB Classic the previous weekend. Indiana had a tougher time this time around, however, dropping all 5 games, including 2 against Fresno State and Long Beach State, by a single run. Coming up, Hoosier on the Street shows us how much Big Ten wrestling means to some fans.
We'll be back on Our Indiana.
Hi, I'm Sage Steele of ESPN. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to Our Indiana.
This week's Hoosier on the Street takes us to Simon Scott Assembly Hall, where we talk about the excitement around the Big Ten Championship with Hoosier fans.
We're here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall for the Big Ten Wrestling Championships, and we're going to talk to some fans about what brought them here and who they're rooting for. Tell us what brought you here,
Oh, Ohio State wrestling and Big Ten wrestling in general. I love Big Ten wrestling.
and what do you love about Big Ten wrestling?
Competition, the athletes, the student athletes. I guess I'm too old school, but I love the student athlete, especially the student part of it. And wrestling just exemplifies that.
I went to school here, graduated in 04. I wrestled for the Hoosiers, and so coming back to see a bunch of teammates and watch some Big Ten wrestling.
And what makes the Big Ten wrestling program different than all the other?
Well, it's best in the country. You're watching nationals, right? You know, outside Oklahoma State and Virginia Tech, what else is there but the Big Ten? It's the best.
For our Indianers, I'm Imani King.
What a great weekend to host a tournament. The weather couldn't have been better.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fans had fun. The IU baseball team has been all over the place this season, but has yet to have a home game.
They've been to Surprise, Arizona, Boca Raton, Florida, and Birmingham, Alabama, but they finally make it home for a 3-game series against Middle Tennessee this week. Jordan Burroughs had the opportunity to interview infielder Austin Cangelosi about the team's season thus far and how the team is preparing for their first homestand. Jordan?
Edition of Who's That Hoosier. I'm joined by first baseman Austin Cangelosi of the Indiana University baseball team. And thank you for being on, Austin. Let's get this started right away. First question I have for you is, the team has been struggling as of late. It's no secret that the 4-6 record with 1 tie is not as good as up to par with the baseball team. Can you tell me about what the team is going through right now with this record?
I mean, as a baseball player, you kind of get accustomed to failing. It's a hard game. I mean, you fail 3 out of 10 times, you consider one of the best in the business. So just how we roll with the punches here. When there's a tough group of guys, we're young, but I mean, we're hungry and we're just not really clicking on all cylinders right now. But we're right there, and I'm excited for what this homestand is going to bring.
So far, Indiana baseball, you're a senior here. Favorite thing you've experienced with Indiana baseball, whether that be now or in the past?
Winning a Big Ten championship. I mean, that's why I came here. I want to play postseason baseball, hopefully win a national championship, and obviously it doesn't hurt with playing with such talented players like Kyle Schwarber, Sam Travis, Dustin DeMuth, just all-American type players, and that's kind of what I aspire to be and hopefully show these young guys how to do it. And I want to leave this program better than how I found it. So going out with a Big Ten championship and national championship would be nice.
Well said. Indiana University baseball team will be at home this weekend. How does playing at home emphasize the idea of IU baseball, and how well do you think you're going to do this weekend and at home throughout the season?
Oh man, where do I begin? But all the getting home at 1 in the morning after a long road trip, not playing too well. It's kind of rough, getting heckled, but it's good to be home. I mean, play for the second best crowd in the Big Ten. We need some home cooking. I think that's just what we need to turn this series around. And playing in a ballpark like Bart Kaufman doesn't hurt either. But I think the guys are just really excited to be home.
How do you see your role developing or developed as a senior now on this team?
I mean, it's changed, just playing every day. Like I wasn't playing much as a freshman, starting every game, and it's just it's really tough. People look up to you more, and I'd say it's just more of a leadership role for the young guys because Sam Travis, Kyle Schwarber just really showed me how to do it and what it takes to win in a top-level program, and I think it's my responsibility to show the younger guys what that is. Now, if I'm not playing as well, you still have to take on that leadership role because the guys, whether you believe it or not, feed off you day in and day out, and that could really help or hurt the team in the long run.
So when you're not playing well, if you're in a slump, so to speak, what do you do to take action to get out of that and play better for you as a whole and as a team?
Well, if you're in a slump, you still got to realize that you have a job to do. Now, like right now, I'm kind of more of a utility role, playing more against lefties. It's just a matchup thing. But in the long run, you still got a job to do, and you can't just mope about it. You can't say, why me? You really got to just put your head to the grindstone and work and just show the guys that you're there to help the team. And I think guys feed off that and respect that, and all in all, will play better. And team chemistry is a really big part of what makes a great baseball team. And I think we have that. The record doesn't show it, but I think we're going to be all right here pretty soon playing at home.
So team chemistry, a positive for the team. Going into this weekend now, is there a specific thing you think you're going to work on with Coach Lemonis and how the team is going forward into the weekend?
I think we're just really going to focus on just the basics, just pitching and good defense. And, I mean, we're hitting the ball well. Got Craig Deedlow and Logan Sowers really hitting the ball well, which wasn't happening the first 2 weeks, but having them get 5-6 hits a weekend. And then Jonathan Stever and Timmy Herron, just those young guys really stepping up in the rotation, pitching at home for the first time. It's going to be a comfortability for them, not pitching on the road. But all in all, I'm looking really forward to seeing those guys pitch this weekend.
So let me ask you this last question. As a senior going through Big Ten athletics, what's the legacy you want to leave on Indiana baseball?
Me personally, what I want to leave?
Yeah.
Me personally, I just want people to remember like how hard I played the game, that I played it right, and that I was just a good ambassador to my university, to my school. Whether I'm hitting 400 or I'm hitting $180, it's just I want people to just really respect how I went about my business. And obviously I want to go out a winner, but all in all, I just want people to say, hey, that guy did it right, and he played the game hard, and I really enjoyed watching him play here at IU.
Indiana baseball will face off this weekend in their first homestand against Middle Tennessee State. The record sits at 4-6-1. Thank you, Austin, for your time. We'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jordan. Coming up, we'll introduce a new segment called Tweet of the Week.
We'll also take a look at the upcoming week in Hoosier sports. All next on Our Indiana.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to Our Indiana. I'm Austin Giardelli, and this is the Tweet of the Week. This week's tweet is by @CreanyTom, who tweeted, "We made the Big Ten tournament." The tweet was obviously sarcastic, since every team in the conference gets a bid, regardless of how they performed in the regular season. The Hoosiers finished 10th in the Big Ten this year after winning the conference championship outright last season. Indiana is now 1 loss away from ending this season, or 4 wins away from returning to the big dance. That was our Tweet of the Week. Back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Austin. I hope we hit the big dance. Before we sign off here, let's fast forward and take a look at the week ahead for IU athletics.
Tyler Sorg joins us now with more.
Thanks, guys. Let's take a look at what's coming up this week in the world of Hoosier sports. Tomorrow night, the Indiana baseball team will make a short trip south to take on the Evansville Purple Aces. You can catch the game on ESPN3 at 7 o'clock. Looking ahead to this weekend, the team will play their first home games of the season against the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. Friday's game is at 6:30, Saturdays is at 2:05, and Sundays is at 1:05. All 3 games will be streaming on BTN+. The IU softball team will look to get back on track this weekend when they travel to Tennessee for the Memphis tournament. On Friday, the Hoosiers will face Western Illinois at 12:15 and Lipscomb at 2:30. Then on Saturday, the team will have another busy day, taking on Oakland at 10 a.m. and Memphis at 2:30. The weekend will wrap up on Sunday when they face Buffalo at 12:15 p.m. The 11-2 water polo team look to continue their strong start to the season when they head west for the Aztec Invite in San Diego, California. On Saturday, the Hoosiers will take on San Jose State at 12:15 p.m. and Whittier at 6:30. Then on Sunday, the Indiana will face UC San Diego at 11 a.m. and San Diego State at 4 p.m. Fresh off a strong weekend at home, the IU women's tennis team will head west to take on their first Big Ten opponent of the season in the Iowa Hawkeyes. The match will take place this Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. The 2017 NCAA Division I Indoor Track and Field Championships will take place this Friday and Saturday in College Station, Texas, and Indiana looks to be well represented. Sophomore Catherine Receiver will run the 3,000 meter in addition to joining 3 of her teammates in the women's distance medley. On the men's side of things, IU will be participating in 4 events: the triple jump, the 800 meter, the distance medley, and shot put. ESPN3 will live stream the meet this Friday at 6:25 p.m. and again on Saturday at 4:55. This Thursday, Indiana's own Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center will host the 3-day NCAA Zone C Diving Championships. On Thursday and Friday, events will begin at 1 p.m. And then on Saturday, events are set to start at 11 a.m. After closing out the season with a win, Tom Crean and the IU men's basketball team look to make a deep run in the Big Ten tournament. This Thursday, the 10th-seeded Hoosiers will face the 7th-seeded Iowa Hawkeyes at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. The game is set to tip off at 6:30 p.m., and you can catch it on ESPN2. That will do it for this week's Fast Forward. For more information about these events, you can visit IUHoosiers.com. Back to you guys.
That's all we have for this week's episode of Our Indiana.
For now, it's time for spring break. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.